All right, we'll get started. Good afternoon. Welcome to the January 18th Education Subcommittee of the Arts Commission. I call it to order. Can we have a roll call?
Chair Clevin.
Here.
Commissioner Hackett-Morgan.
Here.
Commissioner Douglas.
Here.
Commissioner DeSantis.
Here.
Commissioner Roberts. Excuse, Commissioner Chirk.
Here.
Thank you, Chair. You have a quorum.
Great. We'll move on to item 2. Are we in compliance with open meeting law?
Yes, we are, Chair.
Great, thank you. And item 3, public comment. Comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. If you wish to be heard, please come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. Any public comment during this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item 4. Report by Cultural Affairs staff regarding updates to the education and workshop program outline and goals affecting all wards.
This is Mary Sabo for the record. Good afternoon, Education Subcommittee. Nice to see you all again. We just wanted to provide a few updates to our educational programming that we've been discussing. So on January 9th, we held hopefully the first of many in our educational series. We had a conversation with public artist Luis Varela Rico at the historic 5th Street School. Laura Machado did a great job asking Luis some questions about his artistic practice, and he gave some valuable insights into some of his projects, his public art projects. And we had a fairly good turnout. We had about 32 people in attendance. We did have registration online for this event. About less than half of the people in attendance ended up registering online, but we were still able to capture their data thanks to Kushandra, our public art assistant. She was great about tracking people down and getting their emails. So we have that now, which is great. And then if you recall from our last meeting, there was discussion about holding these events quarterly. So we went ahead and created kind of a tentative calendar of future events quarterly. The months are kind of just a rough estimate. We held this Q&A panel in January, and we thought that maybe the next workshop or panel could be in April. The months may change based on availability of the workshop leaders and artists, but just kind of a general guideline. And then we're going to switch off quarterly the staff member that'll take the lead on it, just so we can kind of spread the workload. And then also with these workshop types and topics, we plan on kind of tailoring the content to the desired outcomes from the survey that we had earlier last year. And then just a refresher on that survey data, some of the top requests for topics were artist calls, resumes, proposal development, planning and managing projects, contracts and copyright, budgeting and financial, and then a lot of people also wanted to see grant applications. So we were thinking about hosting kind of a granting workshop as one of our next events. Yeah, and then just a little refresher on some of the goals that we discussed in prior meetings. And we just wanted to ask the subcommittee if you guys have any recommendations for future events, any comments, concerns, things you want to see.
Yeah, this is Commissioner Chirk. I'm very excited about the April grant workshop. That is when the NAC Project Grant for Artists will open. I'm sure you had planned that, so I'm very excited to see that. Will that be an in-person or online?
This is Mary Zay, but we hope to have in-person for the majority of these.
All right, this is Commissioner Clevin. So for the first session with Luis, what was some of the feedback you got from the group? And was there a survey that people filled out?
This is Mary Sabo. That's a great question. A survey would be super helpful in the future. Like kind of do you mean like sort of a follow-up survey after the fact?
And yeah, and I'm even thinking it doesn't have to be this specific, but there could be a goal that's aligned with it, so they come in knowing a certain amount about public art, and if they feel like they have growth in their knowledge at the end, then we can really start to measure the success of it.
That's a great idea. Yeah, we did have, after the way the panel was kind of laid out was Laura had asked questions to Luis and he answered them, and then at the end we opened it up to audience questions, and we had a lot of really great participation. A lot of people had questions that got answered, and it was really nice to see people. You could tell people kind of came prepared with some things they wanted to ask him specifically, which was great to see.
Commissioner Chirk, sorry. Go ahead. I was in attendance for the talk, and I just want to say it was a really, really awesome and informative talk.
I recall at our, Commissioner Douglas, I recall at our last meeting we were talking about the different artists who are pegged or expressed interest in doing some of these workshops. Are there certain workshops that are already lined up that you're trying to choose what we're going to be doing next?
This is Mary Sabo. We don't have anything specific lined up. We did want to do granting kind of next, just because it's kind of relevant to a lot of the things that are going on, but we don't have any specific workshop leaders lined up yet. What we did want to do is go also back to the survey results and see who had expressed interest in holding workshops and kind of revisit who those people were and what topics they selected. Does that answer your question? Sorry.
Commissioner Douglas, yes, that answers that question. And one of the workshops that I thought would be ideal in the future is the RFPs and being able to demystify that process. And I don't know who would present that or how it would be presented, but I would love for there to be a portion of not just arts leaders talking about it, like, oh, we did this and this, but actually showing it. Like, here is a fine application, here are the graphics, here is this beautiful table of contents that lays things out, if there's any possible way to do it. Because I know a lot of the different RFPs that are brought in for some city projects are, of course, private or, you know, only privy to those who are on the panel to review them. But are there others that can be released? I think people could really get some growth out of that and maybe move away from the disgruntlement of Vegas artists not receiving these contracts and actually seeing why.
This is Commissioner Hackett-Morgan. I'm just going to throw it out there. I had a good experience doing a grants workshop for the city 1 or 2 times, so I'm very available, very available.
Sorry, Commissioner Shirk, last comment. At NAC, we are actually reviewing all the submissions for our last round of Project Grant for Artists, and we're actually identifying like some of the weaker points of some, like where some professional development could be helpful. So if you want a list of those topics, I can definitely send those over.
This is Laura Machado for the record. I just have a question. Do you think, Sapir, that NAC, along with Suzanne, would be interested in having kind of a panel discussion to talk about the grants?
Commissioner Chirk, yes, and we can bring our grant analysts on too.
This is Commissioner Clement. Just my last question is, how are we defining what a successful mentorship or workshop program?
This is Mary Sabo. I think that's kind of something that we need to kind of discuss. I do like the idea of doing the surveys or maybe collecting more data, because that, I mean, measuring kind of comes from data, I would say, and also attendance.
What do you think is a good attendance number?
Personally, I thought that we had good attendance at the last panel.
Yeah.
I was a little nervous seeing the amount of people that RSVP'd, but glad to see that, you know, people that didn't RSVP still showed up. We had to like pull out more chairs at one point, which was always a good thing. So I would say, especially for something in that auditorium space, like 30 to 40 to 50 people, for smaller, maybe more hands-on workshops, I would say that, you know, maybe a little smaller than that, but, you know, the more the merrier.
It's Commissioner Clevin. I could see, especially with tracking how many people are coming and who's coming, and then seeing if they're applying for the RFPs and RFQs. That's really going to tell us, like, is this really laying the groundwork that we're hoping it's going to?
Commissioner DeSantis, are we keeping track of these artists who are attending these workshops? Because to me, the success would be in that, say they go for a grant, they write a grant, that they get the grant, or they do an RFP and they get the proposal, that they're successful. So the only way to do that is to keep track of them. Are we doing that?
Yes, we are. So we gathered some data, like email address and names from people who RSVP'd. And our staff member, Kishandra James, who's been helping out specifically with this program, she I would say that she got the majority of the email address and information from each person that just walked through the door, asking them, hey, did you, get a chance to RSVP? If not, can I take your information? So we do have information of a lot of, I would say, most people that attended that event, and we plan to continue doing that at each one, and kind of figuring out maybe the best system for keeping that info organized, because we definitely do want to hang on to it.
Right.
This is Commissioner Clevin. This is really great. I'm excited to see that really jumpstarting the education subcommittee is having some positive outcomes, and I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of successes from the artists and upskilling the artists in the city. So thank you guys. Okay, now if there's no other comment, we can move on to item 5, a discussion for future agenda items. Comments made during this portion of the agenda by individual members shall refer solely to proposals for future agenda items, and any discussion shall be limited to whether or not such proposed items are within the purview of the subcommittee and or whether such proposed items shall be placed on a future agenda. No discussion regarding the substance of any such proposed topics shall occur, and no action shall be taken. So commissioners, do we want to see any items on the next subcommittee agenda? Okay, so it sounds like we will see the outcomes of the next, the grant session, and then we'll kind of move forward from there, so thank you. Item 6 then, we'll go on to citizens' participation. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of this subcommittee. No subject may be acted upon by the subcommittee unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, please come forward and give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of any time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Any citizens' participation during the education subcommittee? All right, seeing none, we'll move to adjournment. Thank you.